for Twitch, and still working on getting YouTube up and running. Okay, YouTube is streaming. So, attempting to do this standing today, which might mean having to adjust the camera a bit so it isn't too difficult, but yeah. You can see my OBS, and actually the cactus dude is right there. Because this is a crochet project, I'm not in the admin too, so cactus dude is probably just gonna stay there. But should be done with the second side of the front tonight and start working on the back, so I can, when I start working on the sleeves, use the sleeves to connect the front right to the back right, the front left to the back left, and then seam up the under of the arm down to where it needs to be seamed. Probably where there's going to be an opening for the strap, if you were to use a strap, or down to, since I started with 30, I'd say probably 20 stitches left, so it's got a decent height for movement. And yeah, I hope that works out, but that's for my size, and I will be making adjustments when I come up with the other sizes. I am using this pattern that I'm writing up to make a raglan style, wrap style, is that raglan sleeve wrap top basic that should work for either gender, so it's a gendered unisex, so really it's for pretty much anyone who wants to do this. And I'm using Tunisian crochet or Afghan crochet or Afghan knitting, Tunisian knitting. It's all the same thing, just different terminology. I'm using a specific part of the stitch that makes it a modified stitch. So instead of going into the bar, I'm going into the top loop. Which I found makes it less likely to curl up on me when I use it this way, and I do this particular way of doing it. But the cool thing is, Tunisian crochet, Tunisian, Afghan, whatever you want to call it, leads to grid stuff. So if instead of going all grid design, and if you want to literally look at this as, okay, what can I cross stitch or embroider on this to make it totally mine? Do it. You've got the perfect grid right there, just with the way this is made. So. Let me see about moving this up a bit higher. Problem with using the mic stand. Using it to shaky bit there. But, yeah. Ah, I was looking for the mouse. It was under this and kind of blending into the table / desk thing. Okay. Doing the social thing, telling people where to find me. Okay, so let's get that back to what I need it to monitor. Okay. Hey, Dr. Sir. So, yeah, I am just doing the top tonight. a pattern for a pony, but in the future I could make a pony. But then again, I could also use some nice leather scraps so that it feels like a pony in the future, because that would be really, really, really soft and it would feel like you're brushing a pony, but it's actually a cow. What makes you think it would be a male pony? And knowing me, it'd probably be an Appaloosa. Because it would probably be Freckles, which was an Appaloosa that one of my relatives raised, and basically let my brother name, and it was supposedly going to be my brother's horse, but since we didn't live in the same state, it was basically just, you know, in name. So my brother can have his horse, Freckles. So I'd have to go through, see if I could find any kind of ambery brown that I have that's the same weight as the cream that I have. And it's all basically remnant leather. And then I'd use wool for the hair. I have colors that would blend really nicely to make fibers for the hair. Okay, yeah, sorry. So yeah, I have some wool fiber that I can use to come up with a good blend for the hair. Copper tile. Been using it for years as a coaster, but I have other coasters, and it prevents this from blending in with desks. Nah. Yeah, this is more what my journal looks like. Got a bunch of things to do in a previous week that I've got to transfer over. But yeah, it's kind of a chaos journal. Same. This is basically the first time for me to use that journal in the past. Let me see if I can get to what I was using, like when I was teaching. This, weirdly enough, worked for me. I was able to keep track of students' work and progress and such in this very effectively. And then this side was more for, like, let's see, what's a place where yeah, journaling. This was basically students had a project for one of the math classes where they had to have a drawing of a robot. Oh, I was a student. Let's see. Basically, 80s and 90s were my main schooling years, and then off and on through the aughts and teens. So it's like take a few classes here, a few classes there in college after many, many years of, okay, going back to school to finish this degree. They no longer have this degree. Okay, changing degree. After a couple of times of doing that, oh, teaching, I was doing that for about 3 years. Primarily homeschool students. I was helping them get through the various online curriculum. It was fun. I don't think I will be going back to it. Mainly because I love teaching the kids. I love it when they want to learn. I do not love it when, instead of enjoying the whole entire learning process, they decide to have a tantrum and literally stab me with, like, pencils or scissors. And I have to just stand there and take it. So it's, yeah, I'm probably not gonna get back to that. Yeah, probably online, because then I could pretty much teach it from, well, anywhere. And I'd be able to potentially find a good camera angle and good lighting so that people would actually be able to see the stitches. I've taught a friend before, but it was pretty difficult as we both have issues with sight. But yeah, Skillshare is a possibility. I believe there are a few people who do crochet and knit on Skillshare. I can check that out really quick. Hold on. There are 431 crochet classes, 101 of which are crochet for beginner, 56 are crochet tutorials, and 47 that are just specifically crocheting. And then there are a bunch of teachers already. Wrong monitor. Yeah, I understand the having trouble with vision. Last time I got my my license renewed, I was there at the vision testing machine for ages because one of my eyes is I could not see the correct line. Glaucoma. Yeah, that totally sucks. Yeah, for the longest I couldn't deal with audiobooks either. It was a great way to put me to sleep. So, as a lifelong insomniac, that was a benefit, but I found that out on a road trip when my brother decided he was going to put on audiobooks. And I was like, I cannot listen and drive when it's an audiobook for some reason. It's like this person's voice keeps putting me to sleep. Please do not do that. Let me play like my classic rock, my EDM, basically anything that I can sing to that will force me to breathe a specific way to get oxygen to my brain. But yeah, I like reading a lot. I pretty much grew up reading a lot and having other people when I couldn't read, like when I was really little, read to me, to the point where I would go up to adults and be like, book? And if they basically were like, okay, they would read to me and I absolutely loved it. My nickname, like one of my first nicknames was Book, because I kept having people read to me. But yeah, and also being one of those pretty much lifetime learner types, I love learning new things, and if I can find material to research, I will, even if it's like a really, really old book that hasn't a chance in hell of being turned into an audiobook. I have these books from like the online library that are basically just scans of these really beautiful pieces of armor that I want to literally use those bits of armor, make them, and use those as the basis for a story where a character ends up basically trapped in the past. Thankfully grew up around Renaissance festivals and reenactors, so she had some skills. And she has to basically figure out how to exist in a world where she's gone back, let's see, over 500 years? But, yeah, I am aware that I'm going to need to kind of start working on the armor and learning exactly the skill set for that armor sooner rather than later, because yeah, my right eye is not doing well. My left eye, I can at least see pretty well, at least enough to be doing what I'm doing here with a very fuzzy, splitty yarn. But, yeah. For me, the main issue is not even the power level, it's both of my eyes have a very strong astigmatism. And my left eye, power level is -2. Right eye, power level is -4. If I were to do the math to find basically a regular contact lens prescription for my eyes, which I think is you just add the, if it's a very low, I kind of had to learn fairly quickly how to read the, like, prescription for contact lenses, because I was trying to get color contact lenses, which in the US they do not make for strong astigmatism. Yeah, so that was a bit of an adventure. Finding out they make them elsewhere for strong astigmatism meant I actually could have color contact lenses. My mom won't put anything near her eyes. My sister is okay with eyeliner, is not into the possibility of, if she ever has to wear, like, glasses, she'll go with glasses. She doesn't want to touch her eyes. It took a while for me to be like, okay, I want to try this contact lens thing out. So, I did try it out. Back a while ago when they had more options. But I have no problem with touching my eyes. It has never actually bothered me. Let's see. My issue, according to the eye doctors, was they didn't think that the contact lenses would be able to go in with my eyelashes being as big as they are and my eyes being as small as they are. So that was kind of interesting. And yeah, so I pretty much only have the color contacts this day and age because I do know how to adjust and, like, take the contact lens prescription and, you know, just purchase them. Which means I end up with ones that are for people who have brown eyes more often than not, and they either enhance the brown or they bring out another color. Since my eyes are hazel, I actually have a creamy brown contact lens pair that bring out the green in my eyes. So it's like, okay, I'm putting in the brown contact lenses, my eyes now look green. Okay, I'm cool with that. But yeah, it's quite interesting seeing how the things adjust over time. I've been wearing glasses since I was a 4-year-old, though, so it was nice to have a break from wearing that. But yeah, also finding out that I'm very sensitive to certain metals as a person who makes armor for fun and used to wear pretty much solely metal glasses because they tended to last longer for me than the plastic ones. It was like, oh crap, I need to wear contact lenses every once in a while. Like I've mentioned before, I have a lot of very common things that I'm allergic to. So it's like, yeah, when you're dealing with having just learned how to make armor and starting to make a business where you make armor bags because they are cool, it kind of sucks when one day you sort of wake up and your face looks like a mask because of an allergic reaction to the metal that you are using. It's like, no! Okay, that plan's scrapped. So, for me, armor is a as I feel up to it thing. And it's like, yeah, when I can, I make armor. When I cannot, I pretty much will avoid things like metal hooks, metal cans, metal glasses, metal projects. Literally, I'm really glad that my phone has a glass back, though I absolutely love my sister's artwork, so it's like, that's great, because then I don't have a reaction to that. I have had reactions to phones in the past. The iPad, I have to avoid. The various other bits of tech that I use that have metal, I have to avoid. This, thankfully, is just paint, and it's copper, and weirdly enough, I'm actually not sensitive to copper. Nah. Though, I will probably start some microgreens and such shortly. So I've got, like, my own snack food that I don't have to worry about if I have a reaction to something that's normal again. Because that's annoying. So, yeah, my mom also has an astigmatism, glasses-wise. She probably should wear them. She just recently got into wearing them for reading. And will complain if she isn't wearing them and has been reading for a while that her eyes hurt, and I'm just staring at her like, really? I'm sorry, we went over this when I was a 4-year-old. You kind of need to wear your glasses to not strain your eyes that much if you're dealing with that. So, yeah. But she also, I am thinking, was dealing with glaucoma for a bit. She had a surgery to help correct it. It was like the start of glaucoma, according to the eye doctor, so hopefully that sticks and she doesn't end up with worse issues down the road. My sister takes after her dad, who basically had, like, better than 20/20 until he was in his late 40s. Like, he was in his 40s, the eyesight started failing into a... Okay, hold on. I need to push this book that I'm reading further away than my extremely long arms. This is frustrating. As a guy who pretty much was constantly reading, and a history teacher, it was interesting to see. because it'd be like, I understand to an extent why your eyes are being annoying to you, dude, but yeah, glasses aren't that bad. He literally started wearing and getting, like, for some time, I think it was every week or so, he ended up just getting another pair of reading glasses to put in another room, so he'd always have reading glasses there, wherever he was. So we have, like, a bag full of his reading glasses. But my sister, perfect vision. And she wears, like, the blue light filtering glasses, so she's trying to keep her vision as long as possible, but she has no problem with glasses and likes the style. So I figure she's set. My brother has worse vision than I do when you're talking power levels. However, he has barely any astigmatism in both eyes, so he's lucky there. Hey. My mom was blessed with nerdy children. No problem with that. My brother pretty much runs a theater in Texas, has a degree in, like, he has his master's in technical theater. He minored in lighting, so majored in set design, minored in lighting, and one of these days he's going to basically have his own theater company. So that's cool. My niece is an actress who basically, for the past, like, couple of years, has basically been the president of her theater troupe and has been doing the community theater where she lives for years. Let's just say her school theater group was not allowing her to act because she was already acting in the community theater, so they wanted other people to have a try. But she's really chill. She literally just got into her dream school in New York City. So that is awesome. Plus, they gave her a scholarship. So it's, like, even better. So, yeah. My mom was blessed with a family of nerds. And she's kind of glad, because the alternative for the 80s and 90s kids, like the kids who grew up 80s and 90s, could be a lot worse. We were never really partiers, unless, you know, we're talking the potential of having a bunch of friends over to either play billiards, or jump in the pool, or play on console, because we pretty much were certain that that way at least our friends would be able to play. But, yeah. And then, yep, that was pretty much the way we kind of grew up. Embracing nerddom, embracing technology, not really being afraid of it, because, well, we were the ones who pretty much understood it. But, yeah, I remember dot matrix printers, I remember the big giant Xerox machines, I remember ditto machines. Like, one of my schools literally used a ditto machine to make sure that everyone had like copies of worksheets and such. Yep. So, yeah, we learned to embrace the geekdom early on. Then there was the fact that when I was homeschooled, I was basically, my PE class was a combination of my ice skating lessons and the local reenacting group having stage combat. So I was doing reenacting, I was learning stage combat, I was doing a lot of improv because we had to pretty much be in character. Like, whenever we were coming up with our characters, it was a fun way of realizing that, yes, I was the youngest person in the group. Almost everyone else was over 18. I was hanging out with my grandma and her friends and learning about history in a fun, interactive way. But it also meant that even adults can play pretend. So anyone who told me otherwise, I had empirical evidence. Kind of learned to create characters that way. It also helps with if you have a job that you don't really mesh with people that well on, you can sometimes have a character that you play that is basically your, in one case of mine, retail persona. That was interesting. I later on, weirdly enough, used that character in a friend's short film. But, yeah. You come up with a character and you never know where it's gonna end up. But, that's basically just masking. Let's see. My brother and I both ice skated for a few years. And then when our sister was around that age, that we started ice skating, the ice skating rink that we used to go to, it had basically been kind of destroyed by a few hurricanes, so that was no longer an option for her. But there were other things. She was very much an active kid, so that was good. She's more the, I guess, sporty one of us. Or was sporty one of us as a kid, though it's more like, martial arts. We did other sports as kids, but yeah, Brie was the one who was pretty much in one sport for years and got to the point where she could teach it. Bro loves going surfing when he gets the chance. He goes snowboarding yet again when he gets the chance. Work is very busy at the theater. Yeah, I very much understand that. I kind of also dealt with that pretty much since I was a little kid. And still deal with it on a pretty much everyday basis. that's why I have been trying to do CBT therapy stuff and cognitive behavioral therapy and DBT. I am trying to also see, I kind of grew up with a different view on things, and let's just say Biodad had very conflicting rules that you had to abide by regardless of what any of the other rules were. So if one rule said you were a child, you could not... If you're a child, you should be seen, not heard. And then telling everyone that is an adult that they are a performer and they will sing for you. And then another rule. You are to obey adults and do whatever they say. So you would get punished for doing what other adults say, which was sing a song for them. And then if you didn't sing, you were punished for not following instructions, type of thing. So it just was like, anything I found to be enjoyable at some point was basically taken. The things I enjoyed, I was punished for a bit. Thankfully, parents divorced, but that kind of screwed me up big time, and I've been trying to slowly retrain me. I forever have been unable to really see accomplishing anything as an accomplishment instead of a failing. And I'm always pretty much waiting for the other shoe to drop. But, yeah. Kind of interesting what you grew up with can really mess you up. But, yeah, like, last year, I made socks. I gave myself 1 year to make 12 pairs of socks. Basically, 1 pair for each month of the year. I accomplished it. Not all of the socks fit me, which was actually pretty good because I am the only person in my family and in the house that has basically child-sized shoes. I mean, my favorite boots are literally boys' boots that I got at Run Fair. But everyone else has a much larger foot size, so they got those. Yeah, I successfully made 12 pairs of socks. And because I made 12 pairs of socks, I can look at those socks and use the socks that fit me and be like, okay, I did this. I made this. It may have taken all month. I may have started it like a month early and finished it literally the last day of the month that I'd planned to make these, but I made them. So it ends up basically a goal that no one can really judge me for, because I end up with really cool, unique socks that they end up asking me if I can make a pair of like that design for them, and a lot of the times the answer is no, because the yarn is either discontinued or it was a limited edition run of a certain color. But that means I have very unique socks that I enjoy wearing that will last me longer than the thin ones that you get in the stores. and that I can fix if they get holes in them. So yeah, I can actually darn my own socks. I can make new ones if I feel like I want to try a new technique. Socks are a great way to learn different techniques, different stitch patterns and things, and have something that you probably will wear as long as it fits. So it's one of those very useful things to have. And that meant I made something, multiples of the something, multiple styles, tried out different things including color work. One of the pairs of socks that I did was literally the most complicated color work thing I'd ever done, because it was, there's this designer, Stephen West. He did a surprise sock along last year. I signed up. I made the socks. It was fun. I learned a few techniques that I hadn't tried yet in sock construction. And I can look at those socks and be like, okay, those socks are epic. I love them. They will forever basically be like one of my favorite pairs of socks, and I made them. That type of thing definitely, I guess, has helped the self-esteem a bit, because I can look at that and be like, okay, those are epic. There is no other word to describe them other than epic. And I made them. So finding something like that has helped. And then this year, my goal is to do 12 wearables. Basically, one of them I did basically as a friend commissioned me to make the flax by Tin Can Knits, because I'd made a flax by Tin Can Knits in baby size for her grandson, and she wanted to match him, which I find absolutely gorgeous and sweet. And so I managed to do that entire project in a month. I've done multiple shawls this year already. I have actually completed 3 presents. It's like, okay, I have a bunch of things that I have on the needle and hook for me to wear, this being one of them. So I need to get this month's project done. I need to finish a few other things, but wearable wise, this will be great when it gets cooler. Even though this yarn is currently driving me crazy because it's really fuzzy and splits very easily. So it's really hard to see the stitch where I'm supposed to be poking the hook through. But seeing this get closer and closer to being the second section of this is... Okay, what I'm doing is actually designing this. I have... Okay, the other one I'm literally still working on. I have the new yarn to wind up, which is based on the Ewok adventure, I believe. Yeah, this is the image that she took the colorway from. So it's going, like, the spiral hexagons are coming along. It's just going to take pretty much a long time, but I'm still designing as I go. I have to figure out the width that I'm getting per hexagon, and then in, like, our chat, not this chat, but the on Discord, probably a good idea to figure out how to figure out what different hooks, what different needles, and everything you personally have. And we'll see about designs that you can test. Because this is going to be a very forgiving design because it's a wrap. Wraps are great for that. And even more so because the stitch stretches really well. So it means no matter what your breasticle size is, you're good. So if you are like a weightlifter type, you should be good as long as you know what stretch you're looking for, what ease, if you want more fabric or less fabric so it's tighter type of thing. So there's that. And the hexagon one I am still working on. It is in a project bag because crochet is a fast thing, but this type of crochet, let's see, first project section, like the first one of these took 2 days. This one I pretty much have only been doing on stream. Knitting needles or health ones, because I also have a lot of those. Illnesses suck, but if you can live with them, it gives very interesting conversations. So yeah, for the longest I kind of saw myself as flat-chested. I kind of have to make new bras because, well, I was measured wrong. And I thought that was true until I found a website that basically gave all of the measurements to take and then basically gives you the correct sizes and such, so you end up with comfortable instead of strained. Crochet needles? Okay. So, hooks. This is a double-ended hook, fairly long. It's also kind of a double-ended Afghan hook. This is a size USJ, which, hold on. Let's see. So, yeah, let's see, USJ. Which would be a size US 10. So J is equivalent of a 10 knitting needle, which is 6 millimeters. So I was getting a bag full of knitting needles and crochet hooks and all that. Plus a couple of old patterns that I've basically taken and redone using different pattern techniques. So different techniques for a double knitting pattern. Like I've done filet crochet for one of the project pieces for a back in the day, Arnie and Carlos, they are YouTubers. Yeah, normal like this, where it's double pointed needles. Like this, where it's got to stop at an end. Like this, where it's circular, because it's got this nylon bit. There are multiple different styles of knitting needles. And then crochet hooks can be nicely padded. So this one is a size 3.125 millimeters, so it's a D hook. But yeah. I also have steel ones that are fairly thin. There are long crochet hooks like this that have an end like the knitting needles that have their own stopper at the end. Which are also Afghan hooks or Tunisian hooks. There are ones like this that are kind of like let's see. I don't have the there are kits for knitting that are like this, knitting needles that have a cable. I don't have the cable in here at the moment because it's on a set of needles for a project. But unfortunately several of these have snapped, which is why I don't have all of the pairs here. Yeah. But these are, let's see, what is that word again? Interchangeable. Interchangeable knitting needles. There are also interchangeable crochet hooks that allow for being able to screw the hook to a cable and either connect it to another hook or a stopper. There are so many different ways of doing this. And also, you can even do Tunisian crochet on a smaller hook. As long as it's not like tapered to like where this goes from narrow out. If it continues beyond that to give you a nice handle, you've got basically this area to put hooks, to put loops on if you are crocheting and doing Tunisian, but it is possible. That's okay. I mean, you gotta start somewhere, and you've already done an amazing bee, so I basically think since my first crocheting stuff was basically scarves on a road trip, you are doing great. My first knitting, I didn't even have knitting needles. I used color pencils. I didn't have yarn with me. I used embroidery floss. So, it doesn't have to be a race. You can go really slow. Knitting's actually usually slower than crochet, especially if you've crocheted before. But, yeah, let's see. Knitting. Something like this. Looks like a sock. It's actually going to be the tongue of espadrilles, but it's, hey, asking for a friend. How did your studies and testing go? 'Cause like senior year of school, right? Yeah. Embroidery floss, let me see. I've got some right here. Let me get a lighter color as a background. Lighter color. I was gifted a book that had a bunch of recipes when I was I think I was a sophomore in high school, and it was from a relative who did not know a thing about knitting but knew it had instructions for how to knit in the book. It expected you to take what you could from the book, which was very, very basic instructions, and go and do one of the most intimidating and intricate things I have ever come across, which is called nostalgia, which is a color work knitting project. I looked at it, realized it was in this weird coded language that I did not understand, and basically was like, nope, not about this life. Let me see, what can I do with what I have? Well, I'm from a place that's very hot, and knowing that it's going to be raining for the next, I don't know, month or so, I could do a simple project. It's hot and muggy here. So a sweater, not likely to happen. A scarf that's really thick, not useful. Do I have any yarn that would be suitable for, well, anything that the book is teaching? Not really. So I was like, okay, what do I have? What objects do I have that could work as interim knitting needles? What objects do I have that can work as yarn? And can I use those to at least practice the basics? Because it tells you the basics of how to make a stitch. That's a knit stitch, and how to make a stitch that is a purl stitch, and how to cast on, which is what I'm doing here. So it's like, not that practical. However, it could be a bracelet. It could be a scarf. But it doesn't have to be heavy or thick. I have embroidery floss. That's not going to be that heavy or thick. Let me see what I can do with, in this case, jumbo pencils, but color pencils was what I used. So I started a bunch of stitches by doing the basic cast on that I just showed you. And let's see, this is stitch 2. All right, let's see. This one would be stitch 3, if I can not drop it. Okay. Okay, make sure that's over there. This one right here. Wrap. 4. Basically just kept going until all of the stitches that I had cast on were now knit stitches. And so I decided to continue knitting. However, I didn't realize I needed to turn the project. So instead of continuing to knit in this direction, let's see, let me finish off these stitches, which do stick to the wood. The embroidery floss, not that friendly a material with wooden needles, especially if they need a little bit of wax to make them smoother and not catch. But time being, this is working. So what I ended up with, instead of getting to the end and turning, I'm just going to drop the last stitch here because I don't really want the knot on it. Okay. And it actually doesn't matter how many stitches I have, because this is going to be very loose and flowy, as you can kind of see here at the end, because these are stitches already. We have stitches. And then, because I didn't turn it, I went in and continued knitting, but the opposite direction. One of those points in time where I didn't realize that being ambidextrous could lead to a slightly different reaction, because this does not give what you're supposed to get when you do knitting for every row. What you're supposed to get when you knit for every row is called garter stitch. What I ended up with is stockinette stitch. The reason being, I didn't turn it. So I was basically working what is the equivalent of, let me turn it and show you, a purl stitch. But on the opposite side, because a knit stitch is just a purl stitch on the other side. So when you turn it and you knit one direction, and then you turn it and you continue to knit the same direction, you get garter stitch. Garter stitch is kind of like the hills and valleys that you sometimes get in... If you think of a ribbed material, it's kind of like making a ribbed material, except instead of it being knit this way, where it's knit, purl bumps, knit, purls, knit, purls, knit, purls type of thing, it's knit side and then raised up, purls, and then down, knit, raised, purls. So it ends up looking quite different than stockinette stitch, which, let me see, stockinette. Do I have stockinette right to there? Okay. Stockinette. This is the stockinette side that you usually see. It's, let me hold on, bring this up a little bit higher and not lose stitches. Good. So you usually see stockinette going this way on fabric. So your usual flat, smooth fabric is like this. The reverse stockinette, or the purl side of the stockinette, is like this. It's all these loops up, basically. So this is reverse stockinette, which is made basically doing all purl, like purl as the side, and this is the knit side. So this side would be you purl, this side is you knit. For stockinette, you knit, you purl, same thing. But yeah, it is. It is cozy. Let's see. Here it is. Okay. Let me see about finishing off these two stitches. But you basically end up with a thing like that if you are switching between knit and purl and turning. So knit one side, purl the other. Which meant that what I was doing, where I was knitting back and forth, I was getting the wrong stitch. Yeah. It is cozy. It also is nice and smooth, as opposed to the garter stitch, which is ridges up and down, and is more stretchy lengthwise. that way than rib usually is, if it's like an odd number of stitches versus like for if you are knitting 4 knit stitches to 2 purl for a rib, you end up with 4 here to here, 4 here to here, and it ends up giving you a somewhat stretchy, not as stretchy fabric, but it's this way as opposed to this way on the fabric. But yeah, I had fun and was like using up all of this old embroidery floss that I wasn't really using for anything else at the time. And I was like, okay, cool. I am learning a new skill. And I ended up with a bunch of scarves that were very Florida friendly. So it was very lacy feel with a really basic stitch, and no one else had them. I made them. They were literally using lace weight because embroidery floss is a lace weight when it comes to yarn. It's really good for that. Funny thing is, let's go with this. Actually, this versus, okay, this would show up better. Okay. I will get back to the showing a bit of that later because I have this that I am trying to finish the side of today. But yeah, when you get back, just tell me. I will continue explaining the different intricacies of how knitting can look very, very, I guess, intricate, yet also very light without too much work. So, I have finished the front left and front right of what is turning out to be a very cushiony wrap top slash overshirt that should be fairly comfortable for any time I'm indoors somewhere that is chill compared to the insane heat outside and humidity outside. Until the humidity is down, I am not wearing this outside. It probably will felt if I did. But let's see, the next part I have to work on is the back, so that I have something to connect the shoulders slash sleeves to, and make sure that it's sized appropriately. I'm thinking of potentially doing a mesh pattern for the back. The sleeves will be solid. I'm gonna have different length options, but I'm going to do a half sleeve. I am debating whether or not to make a hood to go with this. But so far we have the main stitch for the front being a Tunisian, like a basic Tunisian crochet, except instead of using the post, you're using the top loop. And then edging so far is single crochet. So far the only kind of difficult thing to do, depending on what you have, would be the Tunisian crochet. Or the basic Tunisian stitch. Slightly modified because then it makes it less likely to curl on you, fabric-wise. So it lays a bit flatter than basic Tunisian crochet or Tunisian knitting. So there's that. In my case, this yarn, if I do use it for another garment, it will be an accent, not the main focus material. So far for me, it's been extremely splitty, which gets really frustrating quite quickly for me, because I kind of want the stitch to go all the way through where it's supposed to and not have, okay, here's the 3 strands that it needs to go around. It goes there. So it's missing one of them quite often. Oh well. Trying to do something with yarn that I had purchased for a different project to help to hold with a different yarn. Thinking it was basically what the yarn said it was on the listing. And being slightly disappointed with what I got. Only slightly, because some of the reviews did point out that it ends up being differently. Like, being different from the intended yarn for purchase, but hopefully I will get this to a point where I can block them without too much difficulty. Then finish the, start and finish the back, which, depending on a few things, should be started on Sunday on the next Craft and Chill. But, yeah, I might start it a bit before. What happened? Okay. Thought I'd canceled that. Anyway. So, this project will hopefully be done by the end of this month, which means, let's see, let's look at the schedule here. It's not showing up there, so, tablet. Okay. So, let's see. Okay, calendar, let's deselect. Okay. Today is the 13th. So we're here. And so stream. Tonight is Thursday night. Umbrella is doing her Horizon Forbidden West stream, which is going to be really fun. It's just a fun stream to go to. Watch someone who understands game dev stuff and enjoys the art side of things. Watching her play is fun. Then Friday, I play Sims 4. It's also Flag Day. On Saturday, Umbrella does her Saturday art studies, which are just really fun. I think she might still be doing some hats for birds. You know how on this stream we've got these avatars going? Well, she's been designing ravens and hats for said ravens, and it is really fun to watch. Plus, you get to come up with ideas for hats for her to potentially add. So, that's Saturday. Sunday is Craft and Chill night. So, Sunday night to Monday morning. Monday morning, we get back into playing Pal World with Umbrella and I being two different sides of the same world map, basically. We play very differently and Currently, I am trying to get to a point where we can, when the new update comes out, kind of survive adventuring around together. Tuesday night, Umbrella has, and let's see, yeah, Tuesday night is an art stream for Umbrella, usually working on pieces for her Etsy shop, which, yeah, hold on, phone, where did I put my phone? Right here. This is apparently going to drop. Benefit of being someone, like, streaming with someone you know who's an artist who needs people to test things. You end up the test person. It's awesome. Okay. Then 18th. So that's Tuesday night. After Umbrella's art stream, potentially into Wednesday morning, I will play Pal World in my solo player world. At least that's the plan. So that's basically how the streams work out. Umbrella, her streams usually start around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. My streams have been more around midnight Eastern Time, so like 11:45 to midnight is around when I start usually. There have been later, there have been earlier, so yeah, I think around midnight. Then Monday stream starts around 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and the streams that I do after her streams are usually around midnight. So that's basically my schedule currently for this upcoming week. Because on Juneteenth, I do Craft and Shell. On Father's Day, the 16th, I do Craft and Shell. Actually, no. Yeah, Craft and Shell. Because this one started, like, either right before or right after midnight today. Probably right after. Took a little bit to set things up. But, yeah. That's how things are, planning to be, and this will come back next Craft and Chill. Potentially even knitting with pencils. But till then, night.